The Parson Capen house was built in 1682 for Parson Joseph Capen, a Harvard graduate and the minister of Topsfield. The house is one of the finest surviving examples of Elizabethan architecture, which prevailed during the reign of Queen Elizabeth I and is considered the last phase of the long-lasting Tudor style. In this style of architecture, various Renaissance motifs were mixed with Flemish decorative works. The Elizabethan style was much more symmetrical than earlier forms of architecture. Mansions commonly contained many towers, gables, parapets, balustrades, and chimney stacks. Other popular pieces found in this style of architecture included pavilions, gardens, fountains, and terraces. Prior to Capen's ministry, the minister of Topsfield was an alcoholic. The minister was one day drunk in the pulpit, which ticked off the congregation so much the town selectmen set out to replace him. When he found Joseph Capen, the town offered him the job of minister, a house, and 12 acres of land as he liked to farm. Capen had another prestigious offer in New Haven, Connecticut, a prosperous seaport, for more pay. So why did he choose the wilderness of Topsfield over New Haven? 6 months after coming to Topsfield, Joseph married Priscilla Appleton, a woman from Ipswich, so there were at least some romantic implications to his decision, if not also political. Capen was minister during the witchcraft hysteria. The witchcraft hysteria precipitated when 9-year-old daughter of Reverend Samuel Parris and his niece, in consultation with the family slave named Tituba, attempted to divine their futures in the town of Salem in the Massachusetts Bay Colony. When those and other girls subsequently began acting in peculiar ways, they were diagnosed as being under Satan's influence. The girls eventually named Tituba, as well as 2 other women, Sarah Good and Sarah Osborne, as being responsible. Although the latter 2 denied all charges, Tituba confessed, and their accusers displayed fits during their hearings that seemed to point to their guilt. As the defendants were imprisoned and the girls' maladies continued, the girls widened their accusations to include church members, and Parris preached a sermon indicating that even church members could turn themselves over to the devil, thus making such accusations plausible. Eventually, 150 people were imprisoned and awaiting trial. When a new governor, William Phips, arrived in Salem from England, he set up a court of oyer and terminer, meaning to hear and to determine, to examine the cases. Partly on the advice of Reverend Cotton Mather, who would later apologize, the court decided to accept specter evidence, that is, witness testimony that the shape or spirit of the accused was seen doing harm rather than their physical bodies. 27 individuals were tried for witchcraft between June 2nd and September 17, 1692. The 19 who refused to confess were executed. An additional defendant, an elderly man named Giles Corey, was pressed to death after he refused to be tried. Several of the executed had godly reputations. Some professed their innocence and made emotional pleas for the executions to end, and one, the Reverend George Burroughs, prayed the Lord's Prayer at his execution, a feat supposedly impossible for someone under the influence of Satan. On-again, off-again retractions by the accusers and the accused, increasing doubts about the validity of spectral evidence, and the publication of Cases of Conscience by Increase Mather, spurred the colony's governor to pardon those convicted after September 17, and the fears of witchcraft died down. In 1703, most of the guilty verdicts were reversed, and in 1710, most of the families were compensated. During Capen's ministry, 3 ladies from his congregation were accused of witchcraft and later hanged. The 3 women hanged were never recorded as buried, nor are there any known markers. Joseph Capen was minister in Topsfield for 44 years, throughout the witchcraft hysteria that hit this part of the county until he died.